the exciting thing about measuring the pace of aging is that there are new methods available now through what we call DNA methylation, through telomere testing, measuring the length of the tips of our DNA. They give us pretty accurately biologic ages versus where we stand chronologically. So the amount of methylation or the amount of activity, you can think of it like a dimmer switch, so to speak, that affects how rapidly we're aging, or the converse, how slowly. We know that we can do a number of things to affect that rate, starting with hormone optimization. We do a specific test called the GlycanAge Test that measures the amount of glycoproteins in our body. Well, what's that? Well, we all know that sugar's the devil. Well, glycoproteins are sugar-coated proteins, and that's not necessarily a good thing. The more you have, the more negative connotation that has. And so we have seen it reverse and slow dramatically following hormone optimization, particularly in women after utilizing estradiol, testosterone, progesterone. We see the pace of aging slow significantly. I spoke with a 50-year-old woman yesterday to go over her GlycanAge test, and she was 21, and she was thrilled. And this is just in a month after just starting her hormone therapy. There's no question that over the next 6 months to a year, that could go even lower. And so we use a test through True Diagnostics called a BioAge test. That's the DNA methylation test besides that GlycanAge test. And it gives us the pace of aging, which we want to see, and we actually get a little meter. It's like we want it to be less than 1-to-1. We want to be aging slower, not the other side of the coin. And I do see that from time to time where someone is aging 1.1 or 2 to every year. And so we know that instituting a number of therapies that we do, hormone optimization using specific peptides, let's say, to increase human growth hormone levels, to do everything we can to optimize our health, protect our telomeres. We use a product called TA65 that has been shown to help prevent telomere shortening, and in some cases may even promote telomere reversal of aging. And so TA65 is a blend of botanicals that have been found to actually delay and prevent telomere shortening. So from hormone balancing to taking additional supplements, vitamin therapy, we do for a number of patients high dose EBO2, ozone therapy and blood purification, not the same as just ozone therapy, where we're able to remove heavy metals, toxins, viral particles, COVID, candida, mycotoxins, yeast, and those all affect, the rate of aging. So there are a number of therapies that we utilize to help slow down the clock, slow the pace of aging, help restore vitality and vibrancy in our life, and look forward to, a youthful, vigorous future. And as I say, we like to help people live better longer. Well, people say, well, how do you do that? Well, exactly what we just outlined. We take a blueprint, we see where you are when we start, and then we employ a number of different therapies and methods that are proven to help slow the pace of aging, turn the clock back, so to speak. And so it's a very exciting topic for me. Well, telomeres are the tips of our DNA. And as we grow older, it's because of the shape of our telomeres. And so, I like to say, I don't know what's rusting in there, but literally that's the case is, oxidation. We know, we should be taking antioxidants. Well, how come? Well, exactly that reason, to help to do everything we can to delay oxidation inside our bodies and in our organ systems, our brain, our eyes, all our tissues. And so antioxidants, vitamin therapy, Decreasing inflammation. Inflammation is the number one cause of advanced aging and deterioration of the telomeres, the tips of our DNA. And so as we optimize hormone levels, we see an inverse relationship, less inflammation. So it's really pretty simple. Some of the protocols aren't simple, but that's what I do all day, every day. And so to me, it's second nature. We do these things to help people just feel their best, to perform at their optimum levels, to stick around as long as possible in a great state. And so that's why telomeres are so important, and why taking care of them, avoiding oxidizing substances like nicotine and alcohol and recreational drugs. There's just so many things that, just do nothing but destroy us in the long term. To clean that out of our systems. Don't get me started today on glyphosate, the toxins in the foods that we eat. That's a recent podcast that I did that we talk about, because that's hugely important. If you're not eating organic vegetables, you're poisoning yourself and your family. And the oxidation rates that we just talked about are staggering. So we don't want to be a victim of the environment that we can try to control anyway. Again, olive oil, you need to be careful where you purchase it, because a lot of times it's produced and it sits around in a barn for months before it's shipped. And what is happening? It's oxidizing. So by the time you get it, it's bad. And so you need to seek out, and there are some sources online that you can buy fresh, organic olive oil and get it shipped to you from Italy or Greece or wherever, and it's worth a few extra bucks. We talk about detecting aging or catching it early. Well, the key is to get rid of inflammation, eat whole foods, exercise, and see where your hormones are at. Because it wasn't long ago that my average patient was in their mid-50s. Now it's in their late 30s. And I have a handful of 20-year-olds that we're seeing. Hormone decline is an epidemic. We talked before about microplastics, estrogenic compounds in everything that we come in contact with, from plastic water bottles to cookware. And so, in my opinion, it really is of epidemic proportions. And so there are a lot of factors, things that we can do to help assure, we don't rust prematurely, that we check and see where our hormone levels are. And you have to seek out someone that's knowledgeable of that area. I just had a talk with one of my patients today over in the Vail area who was seeing someone at the VA because he is a veteran. He was, the top helicopter pilot in America for a number of years. And he's on testosterone. He feels great. And this provider just doesn't understand what he's doing at all. It was urging him to stop. And I just say, you can't fix some people. And so you have to move on and go elsewhere for your care, because it's unfortunate. There are massive number of studies that show that everything that we utilize is a longevity factor that helps people live better, longer, from simple vitamin therapy and vitamin supplementation, ozone therapy, hormone optimization. I've talked a lot in previous podcasts about harvesting, banking, and using your own stem cells. Well, why do we do that? Well, why not? When we harvest your stem cells and utilize them to repair an injury, why wouldn't you want to use your own cells to help grow new cartilage and repair a rotator cuff tear or a cartilage tear? Why wouldn't you want to use your own stem cells as an infusion for regenerative purposes, to go to those target areas? It modulates the immune system, has been proven to be effective post-COVID and vaccine injuries. I saw a patient yesterday who had significant vaccine injuries, which, we were all lied to by Big Pharma and the government during COVID. Many of these vaccines were not safe, and it killed a lot of people. And some of us have continued problems with inflammation, cardiac issues, joint pain, muscle pain, unexplainable symptoms. And your stem cells are borderline miraculous for many of those things. And we've seen them modulate the immune system, that it's helped significantly people with autoimmune disease. And so there's just a long, really list of symptoms that can be relieved and improved by utilizing your stem cells, along with just being proactive. I banked mine in 2012. That's 13 years ago. I have received my own stem cells as an infusion every single year since then, and then some years more than one time. And why? Because I can. Why wouldn't I want to put my own, healing regenerative cells, proteins, growth factors, messenger RNA back in to help fight the effects of free radicals and oxidation? So, there really is a lot that can be done for it. The technology is such that when we bank your stem cells, they can be grown or culture expanded and grown any quantity that you want to order for the rest of your life. And so they retain all the characteristics and healing powers that they had the day we took them. They can be used literally for the rest of your life at a fraction of the cost. I might add that it's about 70% less expensive when you're using your banked stem cells than when you're using another perinatal tissue product or your cells at the time they're harvested. Well, I'd love to invite everyone to check out our website, look at the material on regenerative medicine and stem cell banking. Call us for a telemedicine consultation. I have people fly into Aspen from all over the world to do this. We have a 5-day ultimate Aspen experience where we do absolutely everything that's humanly possible to be done, from testing to therapeutics to ozone therapy to stem cell harvest, banking, and treatment at the time. But it is relatively simple in-office procedure that I've done over 1,000 times that we can, tailor to the specifics of what someone's needs are or their interest and their budget. And so it is exciting. You can click on the link below, send us a message. We'll line up a time to talk and see if you're a candidate and figure out what we can do to help you really live your best life.